Hey dear little scholar, ever heard of the infamous dictator Joseph Stalin? Or how about say Vladimir Lenin? Does the first Communist Party ring any bells? Or have you ever wondered how the strongest imperial dynasty in China fell? Well, say no more. Plug in the earphones and let me take you to a ride as we go back in time across one of history's greatest events. Let's discuss the revolutions of Russia first. At its core, these revolutions happened due to the cruel oppressive rule of 19th century czars. Russians were dissatisfied with the existing system and the oppression of non-Russian groups in the lower classes. Poor working conditions and failures like the Russo-Japanese War and World War I are events upon why Russians had every right to revolt. These caused social unrest for decades. With the factors being laid out, let's talk about the revolutionary movement that started it all, the Russian Marxists. They split into two, the Mensheviks and the Bolsheviks. Their major leader was Vladimir Ilyich Ulyanov, who adopted the name Lenin. He was engaging, organized, and ruthless, but he fled Eastern Europe to try to avoid arrest. Now let's break down the events that would come after. Also known as the Revolution of 1905, large protests by Russian workers against the monarchy led to the Bloody Sunday Massacre. Hundreds of unarmed protesters were killed and wounded, and after the bloodshed, Tsar Nicholas II promised the formation of a Duma, but since he was hesitant to share his power, he just kept on creating and solving it. Revolutions after revolutions, all of Russia was in chaos. Then there comes the Ferrari Revolution that began on March 8, where women textile workers led a citywide strike. The next days, riots flared up over shortages of bread and fuel. It forced Nicholas to abdicate his throne, and the leaders of the Duma established a provisional government, where Kerensky headed it, but with the speed, conditions, and set. On the other side of the events, we have the return of Lenin, which was arranged by the Germans in order to cause unrest. With him back, the Bolshevik Revolution emerged, and in November, the Red Guards took over government offices. Farmland was distributed, and the workers were given rights. Russia and Germany signed the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk, but the humiliating terms of this treaty triggered widespread anger. Maybe after all, the Germans were right in causing unrest. And so, the Russian Civil War broke out. The Red and White Army waged war, and it ended in 1923 with Lenin's Red Army claiming victory and establishing the Soviet Union. Lenin restored order, and Russia slowly recovered. The leaders saw nationalism as a threat, and so Lenin organized Russia into self-governing republics, which ended with the country being named USSR. The party was renamed into Communist Party to describe the classless society that would exist after workers had seized power. In reality, the Communist Party held all the power, and Lenin had established a dictatorship, not so much the first Communist Party. Anyway, those were the events that ushered the first communist government. But what comes after? Oh, the dreaded Stalin comes after. Lenin died and Stalin rose to become a dictator. As a wrap-up, remember that essentially revolutions of Russia happened due to the cruel and apathetic rule of the czars. And so, these events happened that ushered the first Communist Party. Really, the main takeaway from these events is learning how to choose our leaders wisely and fight for our rights. And also realize that while communism sounds really good, in the wrong hands, things can